Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Gaming Zone. I am your host, as usual, Chris, aka The Mole, and I'm teaming up with a special guest of Rick the Hammer
Hello.
from sadgamer.com. The link to his webpage is in the description. That's right, Rick, I'm advertising for you.
Oh, yay.
I figured why not. And we're going to be discussing 5-star wrestling on the PS3. Now, it's worth noting, I believe Rick hasn't played any of it, but he
No.
was curious to find out about it, and he likes wrestling games. So I was like, well, why not? This could be a little fun. So I'll get the bad thing out the way first, and that's presentation. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look overly good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's some glitches and stuff, but it's a smaller game, so I'm willing to allow this, but I've had glitches.
Yeah.
Oh, so you go.
I was just gonna ask, is it that it doesn't look good nowadays, like compared to PS4, or does it not look good for a PS3 game?
I would make
If
the
that makes
case
sense.
it looks worse than Here Comes the Pain.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a PS2 one, right?
That was a PS2 one, but
As
it's
long as
still,
it loads faster, though.
yeah, it's slightly shinier than that, but
Okay.
it's a case of it's a much smaller studio, so I didn't
Right.
expect 2K graphics or anything like that. So but they did, but what they concentrated on was the gameplay, which we'll go into in a bit. But I've had weird glitches with the presentation, like in one match, I was against Harvey D, and as he went into the ring, he sort of reversed me trying to grab him from the apron, flipped over me, so therefore I never counted as him entering the ring. And the 10 count continued. and, I, and I'm trying to throw him out, and I'm like, oh, no, throw out him and come back in. Just do something. I even tried leaving to break up the count, but every time he grabbed me, and then it counted to 10. And I won by I won by count out, but I was supposed to beat him by pinfall. I'm like, no, I hit all the other objectives. Why?
I was like, okay, yeah. I wondered. I was like, wait, why would he care if he was gonna win like that? But it's just hilarious. It's not a bug I would have thought of, but I like that.
I also had another bug where basically I went to do my finisher at the same time, I believe, as Curtis Angel when I was. No, I was Curtis Angel. I went to do my finisher at the same time as Mike Iceberg. And
Mhm.
we both grabbed each other at the same time, like the finisher thing going off. And then it pushed us both to the floor, and we just stayed dead for the whole match. Like no one could get up, and it was like 5 minutes, and no one had still gotten up. I'm like, pretty sure this glitched. When I tried using my control pad, and I was just sliding along the floor on my back, unable to get up, but still able to move.
I wish that you could like climb a ladder like that, just to see if you slide up.
The steel cage, go up its Spider-Man
Yeah.
style. Oh god, but yeah. So there's been some glitches, but it's worth noting. It's basically bare bones what you get to. There's no story mode. Instead, you get challenge mode, where you go through and there's various tiers on the challenge mode. You know, like a Mortal Kombat tower,
Yeah. Right.
like that for different ones. Like there's one for each match type in the game, and one for each wrestler in the game and stuff. So there's enough stuff there, and basically you get points in this mode for hitting all the objectives correctly. Then you get an extra match bonus if you manage to make a 5-star match, which the difference between this game getting a 5-star match and getting a 5-star match, which I couldn't stop getting in the 2K career mode, is massively
Right.
different.
Mm.
Like, in order to get a 5-star on this one, you both have to have had some good offense. It has to be really close. You both have to be fucking dead, or limbs have to be broken. And I'm like, okay, I like that.
Cool.
But
Is it like clear how to get the 5-star though? Because I know you said the stuff, but I'm not sure. Like,
it
because that
doesn't
was one
tell you.
complaint I had years ago was like they would just give you a 5-star in one of the, it was before it was 2K, it was when it was SmackDown versus Raw. But I remember there was like the 5-star, and like it seemed like only like Hell in a Cell, and like it had to be one of those like ridiculous like
Mhm.
ones that they bust out every once in a while. That was a 5-star if you had like a really good match. Like it wasn't clear how to get it, so is it like clear how to get the 5 stars?
It doesn't tell you how to get them, but when you've got when you get one and you realize how close the match was and stuff, you're like, okay, and then you go back
Okay.
and it's like if the match, like if it's one-sided completely, you're less likely to get a 5-star match if you've just gone in there as
Gotcha.
Rangabok and spammed suplex.
Is that a thing? You spam suplex?
You can spam any move. But I think like move variety and stuff will all weigh into it, which is
Gotcha.
kind of cool. There's no weapons yet, but they will bring out weapons. But there is a feature which I kind of do like.
Mm-hmm.
There's dirty moves. And I know there's been dirty moves in the WWE game before now, but they don't work in a single match. However, in a no disqualification or no hold barred, if you click in the right stick, you'll do like low blows or poke them in the eye or something because it's a move that would get you disqualified, which I like. And
Right.
presentation-wise too, I love the narrator
Mm-hmm.
or the ring announcers. It should probably be called. Like when you're in the ring, let's say it's Curtis Angel, he doesn't just go down to the ring, Curtis Angel. No, he's way over the top to a ridiculous level, which is awesome. He's like, I'm coming down to the ring, Curtis Angel. And it's like this weird voice that's just really over the top and just makes me say, oh god, that sounds like an old school game. I love it. Like they didn't even try to make it sound like an actual ring announcement. And the actual presentation of each wrestler is varied, and each one does feel unique. Like when I'm playing as Curtis Angel, I actually really do feel like a technical, I'm not going to say powerhouse, but technical machine. Like his speciality moves all target legs and stuff. So I'm like destroying their legs and getting them beyond red to black. And I'm just like wearing them all down and stuff. But if I go in there as Rankabrock and I use him, I just feel like a powerhouse. Like every move I do, it's like boom, dead. And I kind of like that because I don't know if you have the same feeling as me, but when I'm playing 2K, not this year as much because they did bring in a load of variations, which is cool. But like normally in wrestling games, if I'm playing as Undertaker or I'm playing as Rey Mysterio, the only difference is whether or not one can jump out the springboard and whether or not one can do a tombstone. That seems to be like the only difference. They both play exactly the same.
It feels like that. I will agree that there's very few differences, and it's a lot of times for me it's the moves. But yeah, there's like springboard and oh man, yeah, like I think one of the biggest differences, just to get slightly off track, was the year when they had like the types. And like you could have brawler and you got like a special move if you were brawler. I felt like that whichever game that was, 09 maybe, probably had like the biggest differences. So it sounds cool that 5-star kind of has something in place where it's not in the same vein. Obviously, it's not like you get different special moves, but it sounds cool that they're that the wrestlers will actually feel different from each other rather than just move set or if one can springboard.
Yeah, I mean, technically they do have different movesets, but it's what they target and stuff. Like they've mixed limb targeting in with the actual character. So like Curtis Angel's more like he's wearing you down and stuff, but Brock's speciality moves are just boom, powerhousing through. So like with Kurt, you're thinking, okay, how do I get to my next move? Whereas with Ranga Brock, you're basically thinking, how can I get to my F5 and pin? That's it, like Falcon Punch. But I'm going into gameplay a little bit at the moment, so I'll just segue straight through to gameplay. Which, yeah, was there anything you wanted to know about the gameplay, or anything you were curious about?
I know there's no created stuff. How's the move variation? Like, remember there was like, wasn't he touting like 16 different RKOs or something like that?
Oh, there is a lot of different ones just for the finishers alone. Like if I'm doing an RKO, I have a running RKO. I have a powerful RKO standing, a normal RKO. I can put them on I can put them onto the top rope and do an RKO.
Oh.
I can also reverse, like if Rangerbach goes to do the F5, then Raging Andy Oregon will reverse that. God, I love these names. Will
I know.
reverse that into a RKO. And just various moves, he'll reverse them into RKOs, like finishes if you reverse them into your own finisher. And like there's an unbelievable amount of RKOs.
Nice.
And the punt kick, which I forgot what it's called in this. I think it's something like, oh, that's it, career killer or something.
Nice.
Which I do like that. Like even Kurt Angle, if you go to or Curtis Angel, I should say. Fuck, I'm just gonna use their normal names. It's easier. The Kurt Angle type. If you use his ankle lock, it's the proper. You know when he stood up ankle lock.
Right. Right.
However, if you hold the button that makes it a powerful finisher instead, he grabs it and he drops to the floor, wrapping his leg around their leg as he's doing the ankle lock. You know, like the one he's pulled out now and again for like really big people. I'm like, that's kind of awesome that even something like that has variations and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, I did. That's one feature I did like on this. And the power moves work as thus. If you've got a finisher, you can do as many finishes as you want while your finisher meter's activated. However, if you do a strong one, you will eat straight through that whole meter. So like you could do a strong RKO and you just kill them and yourself a bit, but it also kills them more. But you can just do a quick RKO, but they're more likely to kick out.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, that's kind of cool.
That does actually sound really neat. So there's like a little bit of strategy to it of like, well, the quicker one, it might be easier to catch them with it, but they might kick out. So like, is it worth it to do that or do the powerful one and just blow the whole meter? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and also power moves, I believe, can weaken your legs if you keep doing power moves. So if you're against Curtis Angel, who's already targeting your legs, and you're, say, Mike Iceberg, you don't want to go for whatever the jackhammer's called. I think it's the Titanic in this game. You don't want to go for the Titanic. Instead, that's great. Instead, you want to go for more. You'd rather hit him with the spear or something.
Right.
Because I've seen him do that where I've targeted his legs to like orange or red, and then he's lifted me up to do his own finisher, but he's gone for the power variation, and therefore he's put all that weight onto his legs, and his legs are just buckled and turned to black as he died.
Oh wow!
And then I've landed on my feet as he botched it. I'm like, yay! It's accurate to Goldberg.
They can like botch their moves.
Yeah, they could botch their moves based on limb damage. Like arm might make it harder for them to pick you up, but legs may make it harder to do power moves and stuff. And as a result, like just because you have your finisher, if you're damaged, doesn't necessarily mean you can pull it off. Like you'll go for it and go and just die. And I like that. So it's like it's like in real life, or at least what wrestling pretends is real life. And like if Kurt Angle's dead in a proper match, you'll see him go to do the Angle Slam, and before now he's messed up by going and just falling down dead because of his injuries. And I'm like, I like that. I mean, this year 2K had the whole wearing down damage system, and that basically means, okay, you're gonna hit them to the floor and just crawl and put your arm on them, which was cool, but it's not as variable as this.
Right.
Which I kind of like that. And there's a good selection of wrestlers too. Each one has, this is kind of funny to me, but each one you can pause it and read biographies of the wrestlers. Like Curtis Angel is trying out for the 20-something Olympic Games that are coming up. And then there's and as well as that, each one has different rivals too. Like I think Curtis Angel's rival is Pegasus, who's like the Dynamite Pegasus, or whatever the English guy's called, which is pretty awesome. Rangerbrock, I believe, is Iceberg. Harvey D is Greg Harty. And I think Raging Randy Oregon is, what the hell's his name? Johnny Maivia.
Oh, right.
But I just like the fact they have rivals with it built in there. It's like, what, this one's a rival to this one, this one's a rival to this one, and this is their backstory, and each one's been a well thought out slight parody on the actual wrestler's career, and I kind of like that. But that goes to
show you. Remember what Greg Hardy's is?
I don't.
His bio.
I didn't read his.
Okay.
I should have. I should have read his bio. That would have been amazing. But I just like that. And like I said, it's made by a group called Serious Parody. And you can tell that it is a serious parody, because the wrestlers are parodies of the actual wrestlers themselves, like names and stuff, backstories. Right. But yet the actual gameplay is very serious. That's kind of awesome. And I think so. Yeah, and I think for the price of it on PS3, it's really worth definitely checking out. And they've said, unlike 2K games and stuff like that, this one's only gonna get bigger. And what they mean by that is, this time next year, you're not going to buy 5-Star Wrestling 2. Instead, you're going to go out next year and you may purchase an extra DLC pack for this, which will expand the roster and expand the modes and add weapons. Like they said, they want to do they want us to do CAWs in the future sometime, and they want to do this, and this. Loads of stuff they have planned, and it's all coming in the future in DLCs to just make what's already great, because they got the fundamentals. Then they're just going to expand upon that through patches and DLCs and stuff. And I'm like, that kind of sounds much cooler.
Yeah.
Like, one thing they've talked about is a ladder match.
Oh.
They want to do ladder matches, I believe. But the only reason they didn't is the same reason they didn't do weapons. They want variations within each ladder move.
Right.
Which can be a little tricky to do. But yeah, like I said, as you mentioned, there is a lot of strategy towards this game as well. Like, if you're, say, Greg Harty against Rangerbrock the Conqueror, God, these names. But yeah, basically, you're a high flyer, and he's like a brawler, up close powerhouse. You need to stay the hell away from him.
Yeah.
And if you stay away from it, if you keep using like the springboards and the high flying and stuff, that's great, because the second he gets hold of you, he's going to eat through your health and stamina and stuff by just like being basically like a fucking tank. But if you can take him out from distances where he can't reach you, you can keep the momentum in your favor. And I like that.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah, because that's kind of, in my opinion, like what they do in real life. Like, if you watch a wrestling match, like, say, Big Show versus Rey Mysterio, how often do they play it like the 2K games where Rey Mysterio runs in close to Big Show and just brawls him to death? I don't think that's ever happened. No, he tries to avoid him and uses his quickness to his advantage. And that's what they've touched upon here, is the psychology that's actually in wrestling matches, which that's kind of cool. And like I said, it's about 30 quid, which I can't remember how many dollars it was. Actually, no, I think it was $25, 15 quid, actually, it might have been.
Yeah, I believe it's 25 out here.
Yeah, which means ours was about 15 to 20. I forgot how much the price was for a sec, but it was, sorry about that, people, live, but it's definitely worth the price, if that makes sense. It's worth the price, and yeah, there's some issues, like I mentioned, and you might want more content. However, I make the case with this one, same thing I did with this year's 2K game, of it's not the bells and the whistles as the other
Right.
ones are, where they're like, oh look, we've got an elimination chamber, Hell in a Cell, a story designer, we've got a universe mode, we got this, we got this, we got this. Okay, cool. How many of those actually work? Well, single matches do, as long as you don't use this type of person, really. And it's like I am all for more content. Don't get me wrong, that's why I'm looking forward to next year's WWE games. I think they'll add more content. But I want the game to play to be good first, because
Yeah.
like it was pretty bad that we had like 4 years on the run where we kept having the same glitches. Like that horrible glitch of, oh, if you change this on your CAW, it erases his moveset. Wait, what? That's fine. Okay, it's a one-off glitch. Next year, same glitch. What? like downloading the people leads to universe being reset. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Luckily, they
Yeah, they
fixed
had
that now.
weird glitches. The one that erases the moveset, like that's one of those ones that's like not horrible, it's inconvenient, but holy crap, dude, that can like kill 2+ hours easy of what you did, and that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's not super detrimental, but it made it so you wasted that time, and that's what I think super painful about it.
And the one that annoyed me, we had for 3 or 4 years on the run. First year, it worked perfectly. Second year, it worked perfectly. Then for some reason, Story Designer just broke, and they never fixed it.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, if you go to make a show on a pay-per-view, it freezes the whole game, and you have to reset it, and it wastes all the stuff you've just created. And oh, God. And it was pretty bad. What you ended up having to do was create a fake pay-per-view show, like before it, using the arena and all the stuff as a loophole around it, and hope that worked. And it's like, I shouldn't have to find a way of making your thing work.
Yeah.
You should be doing this. And when you mentioned it when it was under THQ, I mentioned it after the second 1 year, and I mentioned it the second year, and I mentioned it the third year. And the last time I mentioned it, they said, we are aware of this issue, and we don't understand what's happened. It wasn't like this previously. And I'm like, yes, it was. I sent you a message. I sent you the previous games. And they're like, ooh, is it something you're doing wrong? Do you know how to use Story Designer? And I'm like, and you're thinking, yes, I know how to use it. I've used it the previous 2 years. I would spend hours on that thing. And it's like, you essentially have a mode that doesn't work. You have another mode, like you mentioned with CAWs, that can be completely erased to the point of you might as well not have a mode.
Yeah.
And it's just a case of why don't they get their shit together? But this one, there's a couple of glitches and stuff, but they said any of the glitches they do plan to patch out in the future. And they wanted to work on the core, then do the extra matches. So like when they add a ladder match, that'll be the only thing in the DLC. So almost, because that ladder match and the ladder and what it brings, they will have worked on that to make sure that works, then they'll add it. Same thing with the next stuff. And I'm like, that works. Like, I'm looking forward to when there's a ladder match and CAWs and this game keeps getting bigger and bigger, because what's here is really worth checking out. Now, I normally give a rating on this, and people know I give a rating of buy, rent, or avoid. I would give this a solid buy. If you like wrestling games, buy it. If you like just strategy type of fighting games-ish, I would also consider buying it. However, I would say rent it if all you're after from the WWE games is, cheap arcadey fun like the SmackDown series. If you just want the SmackDown series, you're gonna hate this game. But if you want something different, like an extra, like there can be more than one type of, there can be more than one type of RPG or more than one type of shooter. It's like, why can't there be more than one type of wrestling game?
Sounds good.
Yep. And I will thank Victor, the stay-at-home dad gamer, for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome.
And if you're listening, stay tuned. We have an extra special news discussion piece coming soon.